You're listening to the Andy Snowden Stage and Screen Radio Show, broadcasting around the world and in Rosamedre.
Yes, indeed, you are listening to the Stage and Screen Show with me, Andy Snowden, here till 3 p.m. this afternoon, as unfortunately there is no football commentary, with it being the FA Cup and all of that. But do not fear, it's time to get nostalgic.
With a wee drum and a song, with a wee drum and a song, we'll bid them a fond welcome with a wee drum and a song. They'll come from the Highlands of Scotland and from bonny Teviot's dales, and we'll bid them a fond welcome to the valleys and to Wales. They'll come with banners waving in kilt and spar and thong, and we'll bid them a fond welcome with a wee drum and a song, with a wee drum and a song, with a wee drum and a song, we'll bid them a fond welcome with a wee drum and a song. And they'll stay down here till Sunday, when another trip it will end, and we'll tell them all to haste thee back, our ain old border friends. And they'll miss a shift on Monday, as I of times I've done, and they'll watch the march on Monday, I to find which side has won, with a wee drum and a song, with a wee drum and a song, we'll bid them a fond welcome with a wee drum and a song. And if we lose, it matters not, for there the sadness ends, for defeat's ne'er counted as a loss, if it be the gain of friends. And may that friendship ever last, and may it journey long, I will bid them a fond welcome with a wee drum and a song, with a wee drum and a song, with a wee drum and a song, we'll bid them a fond welcome with a, come on everybody, we hammer thee, with a wee drum and a song, with a wee drum and a song, we'll bid them a fond welcome with a wee drum and a song.
So our next guest has toured the world many, many times. Next year he embarks on his latest tour, celebrating over 50 years in the business. That is legendary comedian Max Boyce. And he comes to North Wales in January, taking in Theatr Clwyd on the 24th of Jan and RHYL Pavilion Theatr on the 26th of January. I caught up with Max on Thursday afternoon, had a wonderful chat with him. Could have spent all afternoon in his company, but here he is talking about his career, which I say is over half a century old now. Here he is, Mr. Max Boyce. Hello, Max.
Yes, Andy.
Thanks ever so much for speaking to me. This is marvellous.
Not at all. My pleasure.
Well, I've got plenty to ask you.
Yep.
So you're back on the road again. You must have a quite a nice sort of eclectic mix of generations coming to see your shows now.
Yeah, it's I think parents and grandparents, tell their respective family members, you've got to go and see Max and all that, and it's really filtered down to, and also I've done sort of in the last sort of 10 years, I've done quite a bit of television in Wales. And I have inherited a much younger audience. Yeah, it's right across the board now, yeah.
Yeah, because we used to come and see you a lot when you played the Deeside Leisure Centre, don't you?
They were magic nights, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've stopped doing shows there now, which is a real shame. Because of the atmosphere.
I don't know why, but yeah, we used to. I remember when I first did that there, it was a TV thing, and they put it, and they said tickets are free. You just have to play, and you had to put extra post office vans for applications.
Oh my!
It was 2,000 seater, but it was a massive night for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was a sports hall, really. Yeah. They just turned it into.
But there was no big, there was no big theatres in the area then, so we tried to do it there, and we sort of put curtains and stuff to baffle the sound and all that. So I love doing it. I absolutely love doing it in the end.
Oh no, it's absolutely terrific. And you sort of, I've heard you say that Welsh people love a bit of nostalgia.
Yeah.
And I mean, since I was speaking to Jane and organising this conversation with you today, I've listened back to all my albums that I had of yours, and it's bizarre how you kind of remember. You remember all the songs and everything. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, Wales, these 50 years next year.
So as a singer, you're almost urged to sing your classics, but as a comedian, you everything has to be original, does it?
And you've got to try and freshen. I'm very conscious of freshening it up, and that's why I don't go back to the same theatres. I try and keep 2 or 3 years at least.
Yeah.
Between gigs, so it gives me a chance then to freshen things up a bit, But I've written about 2 or 3 songs and routines for this next tour that nobody has heard, so that'll be good.
You've toured the world many times, so do you have to sort of adapt the show for an English or an Australian?
I had to adapt in South Africa. What trips you up? You certain things you not think, like make products. We talk about a product or something, and because they don't have that product.
Oh right.
I remember telling a big story about Samaritans. Yeah, this big long story about Samaritans.
Yeah.
Because they don't have Samaritans.
Oh right. Yeah.
They were wasted, and I delivered the line, nothing. There's no such society in South Africa. So things like that trip up unknowingly,
Yeah.
So I do change. I adapt to start. I do. I try and do the first sort of 10 minutes peculiar to that country or whatever.
Yeah.
And Australia, there's so many things you can talk about Australia anyway.
Yeah.
So I wrote a couple of songs for Australia the way they because the program I did Sydney Opera House, and it was televised back here, but it was Australian audience, or predominantly British audience, but they brought their Australian friends with them, and so I had to make a specific to Australia show. So I wrote this song. I wrote 2 songs with Australianisms in them, as it were.
Yeah.
So they really appreciate it, that I was a really simple thing, like the way they speak and all that, and of course you've got all these things in Australia, like the most poisonous things in the world. They're all in Australia.
Yeah.
They do things like that. You list them all. List all the points, and the big sign says "Welcome to Australia." listed the 8 most poisonous things in the world are all here. Welcome to Australia. So things like that you can can use. So yeah, I tend the start tends to be specific to a country.
Right. I mean, I was quite surprised you said that, because what I was sort of alluding to is I mean, you're possibly Wales's biggest rugby union fan, but they're famous fan anyway. So do you recall the point when that became part of the act, or did you just think one day I'm onto something here?
No, I was, it started out just writing sort of a social commentary, as it were, about everything, about school milk being stopped and about the pits being closed and whatever was current.
Yeah.
But then, of course, Wales went through this huge, through the 70s, and being a big lover of the game, it is inevitable that I wrote about the, it's not really about the game, it's about the passion and the humour that attends the games,
Yeah.
So it caught on, and I saw, I wrote more of it then because it was people loved it, and no one had written that type of thing ever before, and or even that type of folky stuff in Wales, no one had done it before, so I tapped an unknown scene there, really.
And I don't think anybody else kind of still does that to the extent that you do.
Yes, anyway, it was a time. It was a folk sort of renaissance, or if we call it that, where you had Billy Connolly in Scotland and Jasper Carrott in England and myself, and we all happened within about 2 or 3 years of each other. Yeah. And we came from like the folk songs, or folk scene, rather from the showbiz scene. Yeah. And we've 3 of us have lasted, 50 years next year. And Billy, 50 was last year. So, we're still selling out theatres, so it's good.
It is excellent. And I was going to ask you about your folk songs, actually, because you're as famous for those as you are for your comedy, with some beautiful, beautiful songs that have almost been the backtrack to my life, really. I mean, Do It's Hard and Ron the Grey and We Walk to Merthyr Tydfil, and all these tracks they're just stunning. And my favourite actually is Young Davy, and I don't know why, but it's just
it's a good song, yeah.
Oh, it's a beautiful track, that is, and the harmonies on it is just wonderful.
When all the valley lights come twinkling down as night descends on this old town, all the girls and boys come out to play. The factory seems a million miles away.
But I was intrigued. Which is the easiest? What's more enjoyable to write? Is it the emotional tracks or the comical?
I wouldn't say either are easier. It's just that the serious ones have to be, they're probably a bit more difficult. But if something inspires me, then it comes quickly. Yeah. It's the hard slog of sitting down and trying to write something. But if something comes quickly, mind you, having said that, no, Ron the Grey took me 5 years. I'd written sort of 4 verses in, say, 2 weeks. I couldn't finish it. I couldn't find a way of finishing it. Yeah. And then I was out on holidays, and this chap I was with had just, he had pneumoconiosis. I was climbing the stairs, and he turned and he said, "Well, hang on, Max," he said, "the tools are on the bar." So, like, it's an old mining expression of saying, like, my best days are over. So when he said that, I thought, oh, that's it. That's the end of On the Grey. The tools are on the bar. Yeah. It's 5 years later from the song lay dormant, for 5 years. Really? Because that's a stunning song. I've recorded that, actually. I'm not gonna claim it's gonna start hitting the top of the charts, but it's one of my favourite Max songs, and one of my favourite all-round songs, actually.
Where old men say at the close of day, "Dan you wedi neud ein siar," and the colour in their faces says, "The tools are on the bar. The tools are on the bar."
It's just a beautiful story, I think.
Yeah, it's absolutely true as well. It sort of did happen. All that happened, and it's through what makes it, I guess, through a child's eyes. Yeah. Where he's asked to paint the valley, and as you know the song, and then he said, well, the real colour is only found in in the faces of old miners, you know. So
Yeah.
So it was a nice idea, and I'd say I wrote it very quickly, and then I couldn't finish it until 5 years later. So sometimes it takes long, sometimes it takes a day, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. And of course, your most famous song, I would have thought, Hymns and Arias.
Yeah.
When it was first recorded in '71, I'm going to quote something here because I want to get this right because it's brilliant. It may well be, this is what was written on the album notes.
Yeah.
It may well be that future years will find hymns and arias rolling a thunderous chorus across the terraced rugby grounds.
Yeah, that was very prophetic,
So,
yeah.
who predicted that?
The Ian Lewis, who died about 20 years ago now, but little did he think that would come true, or little did anyone think. I wish I could change some. I wrote that very quickly again.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Well, and I wish I could change some of the lines in it now, but I can't. It's there forever, yeah.
Oh no! That's amazing. When did it suddenly? I mean, now it's sung with such gusto at a rugby match.
Everywhere else,
it's almost like another anthem.
This is a song, and I never heard it sung there again at Wrexham. You know, when Wrexham were playing, he was singing it. Yeah, it's really caught on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I wrote it, little that I think you would last, sort of still singing it 50 years later. You know, it's a great thrill, that. Yeah. I never tire of hearing it, you know, especially when Wales have sort of come from behind at the Millennium Stadium, or the old Cardiff Arms Park as it was.
Yeah.
You know, when sort of Wales come from behind and the whole crowd sing that, then that's pretty inspirational for anybody. Yeah. Never he turns to me and says, Max, they're singing a song. I can't hear it, you know.
Yeah. Well, it was bizarre, because as a child, I just thought you were singing a rugby song. And it was only when I got older that I realised they're singing your song.
Yeah, and you know, it's what's amazing about that is not just that song, but that was written in about, 72, something like that, or 71, 72. And Flower of Scotland was only written in 1968.
Right.
And the Fields of RHYL, the Irish anthem, that was only written in 1968. So all those rugby anthems were all written within 4 years of each other.
Yeah.
People think Flower of Scotland was written back in the 1700, but no, it was written in late 60s.
Yeah.
And the Fields of RHYL is written by a boy still alive now, Irish boy, and that's again, although it's about potato famine or whatever, 1800, but it was actually written in 1968, you know.
Wow.
So it's amazing, the three anthems were written virtually the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, and they are. I mean, as I say, they're sung with such gusto. You would think it was like the second national anthem for the country.
Yeah, they're there forever though, yeah.
Terrific, absolutely terrific. Let me ask you about Live at Treorchy, because it was your third album, surprisingly. I think many think it was your first because it was the one that sort of kick-started everyone remembered you on. And it got to number one in the album charts.
No, that was one after Doctor's Papers. That went to number one, yeah.
Oh, really? That's got to number one as well?
No. Live at Treorchy was in the chart for nearly a year, but
I see.
It got to number one was the follow-up to Treorchy, which is We All Had Doctor's Papers. That was the one that went to number one, yeah.
And still to this day, no comedy album has got to number one?
The only comedy album, I think.
That's astonishing. And did I read somewhere that you actually had trouble selling out of the tickets, so you had to give them away?
Not of that. It did happen. The first album of all was done in like a little folk club. But I'd learned the lesson of that by the fact that everybody knew the songs, and it didn't have the same instantaneous reaction because they'd heard the songs so many times.
Yeah.
So I decided then to go to someone that nobody knew me, and I just trusted the songs. So I went to a similar sort of place to where I live and trusted the songs. And of course, it was the reaction was fresh and real, and that part of the success of that album was because of the audience, you know. And I learned from doing it in with a small recording company, and then that was only local company, and then I learned mistakes, and then did it for EMI, and but because people didn't know me, we had to go out and beg people to come to the concert, 50p, you know, and and they said, well, listen, this boy's cutting a record, you know, he needs an audience, will you come? They're only 50. So we ended up giving them away to people, and they were the audience, you know, but it was the right thing to do because the reaction was real.
Oh, right, you didn't have to teach them the songs or anything beforehand?
Yeah, I did, yeah. because they'd not, I had to teach them all that night, and
Right.
choruses. But then they were hearing it for the first time. If I'd have been singing to an audience that had heard the songs all before, then you wouldn't have had the same reaction. Like telling a joke, you can't tell the same joke to the same people 4 times,
No, absolutely. I was going to ask you, actually, do people ever say to you, tell us, can you do the joke about the pig in the battle?
They do, and they laugh just as much.
Yeah.
Because what they love is not the joke, they love the telling of it.
Yeah.
As I say, what they love is the execution.
Yeah.
They know it's coming, of course, you deliver it the same way, and they love the execution of the joke. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't say you were sort of famous for having a catchphrase as such, but there's certain things that you've said in your stories that my mum still says to this day. If she ever sort of says, my brother sort of does quite a bit on the TV, and if he says, did you see it? She'll say, oh, your coat look lovely. And she always says it. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. Clearing some cupboards out this morning, and that coat you mentioned is there. I'm with the heart to throw it out. It's too small for me. I'm with the heart to throw it out. Yeah.
It's madness, isn't it? But I was going to then after Live at Treorchy, there came in very quick succession. There was All Our Doctor's Papers, as you've mentioned, The Incredible Plan, The Road and the Miles, I Was There, and Not That I Am Biased, and Me and Billy Wynn, all sort of 1 year after each other. Did you tour?
Yeah, I probably did too much at the time. They suffered a bit because I hadn't worked the songs really. I hadn't bedded them in, as it were. So, but when the EMI is screaming at you and television is screaming, I brought too many out in too quick succession. Really, I wish I'd waited a bit longer.
Yeah.
Which I have now. I waited a long time. This next album, which hopefully I'll record on this next tour, and then it'll be a collection of songs then that I bedded and perfected over touring with them for many years,
Yeah.
Because you can only get the comedy ones right by doing them over and over again, so you know exactly what works and what doesn't work.
So did you tour every year then, at the time?
Yeah. I think probably 80 months is the most I've been without sort of working.
Wow.
I don't think I've gone 2 years without touring, no. Not far off 50 years next year. So the next year after, from the first album, yeah.
Right.
Well, since I started, it's certainly 50 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So 2020, see, from 1970, I was singing in 1970, so that makes 50 years next year. So we booked the Millennium Centre in Cardiff, St David's Day in 2020, so that should be special.
That will be special. That will be special. Because interestingly, you were saying that as well, because at the beginning of the I Was There concert, you say, I will look back on St David's Day and say that I was at my stig and proud to be able to say that I was there. And I can imagine that I doubt there's anybody that went there that hasn't actually said that.
Yes, quite. I didn't realise it was St David's Day. Yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I was there St David's Day last year, and it was that's where the snow came.
Oh yeah.
And so I couldn't do it. I had to cancel because nobody could get there.
Yeah.
So we had to cancel St David's Day in my stig, and I had to go back there then. We went back there 3 weeks later.
Yeah, that snow was something else, wasn't it?
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah. Did you suffer where you are with the rain last week? Cause
yeah, it was right through the main roads were closed. Yeah, within 4 miles where I live, the main A470, the road was closed. Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter and my son and my daughter are doing something at the Millennium on Saturday, right. And so they've got to get the train down tomorrow. So I'm a little bit worried.
Oh, it's fine now. It's gorgeous here at the moment. Yeah. On Saturday, yeah, it's giving it gorgeous till Sunday. So she's okay.
All right, that's grand.
Beautiful day, not a cloud in the sky.
Yes, it is. It's lovely here today as well. A bit cold, but
it's cold. Yeah, and it's lovely till Sunday anyway.
But back in the 80s as well, I remember you tour with John Luce and the late
and John, yeah.
Neil Lewis.
Neil has died since, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they I presume were very pivotal to the beautiful sound from that time.
Yeah, the early days. They both were good singers as well, and so we could take the sound of the record on stage as well, which was important. They were superb musicians, and neither of them read music; they're just natural musicians. And I could go off on any tangent, and they'd follow me. Yeah. And they both had great singing voices as well. So I was with them. They were with me for a long time. Yeah. And Neil died about 6-7 years ago now. So
yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was really sad. Because I remember they opened for you.
They did, for many, many years, yeah.
Yeah, and then sort of worked. I mean, they probably worked harder than you.
Yeah. And then Billy Connolly took them, and he was so taken with them, he used them in some of his shows as well.
Oh, right. Lewis and Loose, they were called, weren't they?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, they're part of the history, aren't they, of your shows?
Yeah, well, from the formative years, they were with me from the start,
Yeah. Can I just ask you before we go, because you say on one of your albums that when you did the Royal Command performance, you tell a story about kind of dying and nobody quite understanding what you were all about. Is that true, or are you just sort of bit of telling it as a story?
Well, it's a bit of a story. No, it didn't. I didn't die, but it didn't go as well as I hoped.
Yeah.
It didn't, because the Royal Command performance is totally different. And I had done shows at the time, and every night was chock-a-block, and my audience, standing ovations every night. And of course, they weren't my audience really, and I didn't really get on their wavelength really. So it was disappointing. Yes, it didn't go well as I expected, but out of it came. It made me stronger, and I got a great routine out of it. About
yes.
So you can anything really affects you can write. But I've done Royal shows since, and it's been brilliant. So it was just that first one, and I had to top the bill, which is perhaps a lot to ask, but it was a lot tough thing to do, top the bill in a Royal Command. Yeah.
I suppose when you sort of you're asked to do 5 or 10 minutes of an act that usually lasts an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's a short spot. It's very hard to impress on that sort of audience. It's not really perhaps conversant with my work.
Yeah.
And because it's difficult. But I did all the shows after that, and it was brilliant. So it was a learning. I hate using the word learning here, but I learned from it. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. And one more thing: do you still use the leak? Have you still got your big leak?
No, that went. I decided I can't go on Sydney Opera with a very big leak. So enough is enough for that. So I thought, no, I'll knock it on the head.
Yeah.
But it was a hell of a thing, because it was so, people loved it. Visually, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
But I thought, oh, God, I can't,
Enough's enough.
move on. So I decided then, I finished it that night. So it's been about nearly 15 years now since I used it last year. But it was great fun. It was great fun.
Who made that for you? I mean, it was.
Well, it started just as a little thing, a small thing, and then people kept sending me bigger. They go bigger and bigger and bigger until it was about a 6-foot thing, huge thing. So I had to cut it in half. I had to bolt and took it to Australia and everywhere. Korea, I was explaining to Korean custom officials what they're eligible for.
Oh, brilliant.
Stories out of it.
Oh, fantastic. Max, it's been an absolute treat to speak to you.
Well, that's all, my friend.
I look forward to you coming up to North Wales beginning of next year.
If you want to come, you and a friend or whatever, and come back and say hello afterwards.
I will do, mate. Thank you ever so much. Take care of yourself.
Pleasure. Ta-ra.
Cheers.
Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.
By his lathe young Davy stands, the steel he works with burns his hands. The clock is slowly moving round to 5. The klaxon blows the sound he loves, and the locker is over all his shelves. This is when young Davy comes alive. All the valley lights come twinkling down. Night descends on this old town. All the girls and boys come out to play. The factory seems a million miles away. girls paint on their faces, barroom lawyers state their cases, buses queue outside the factory wall. Davy gets a lift to town and he tells the lads in the Rose and Crown he'll meet them later on at the welfare hall. When all the valley lights come twinkling down as night descends on this old town, all the girls and boys come out to play. The factory seems a million miles away. Outside the dance hall people wait, the doors will open up at 8. Hear the merry laughter in the rain. Then across the crowd he sees her, he wonders what to say to please her. He's so glad to see her once again. All the valley lights come twinkling down as night descends on this old town. All the girls and boys come out to play. The factory seems a million miles away. The dance is over, clap the band, the couples are leaving hand in hand, the earthy smell of summer all around. Across the meadow's midnight sky she looks into his smiling eyes. Davy lays his coat upon the ground. All the valley lights come twinkling down as night descends on this old town. All the girls and boys come out to play. The factory seems a million miles away.
It's the Andy Snowden radio show. It's the Andy Snowden radio show. It's the Andy Snowden radio show. It's the Andy Snowden radio show.
So there you go. Don't say I don't give you anything. A little bit of Max Boyce on a Saturday afternoon, and why not? So as I say, Max is about to embark on yet another tour of the country, and we'll be in North Wales on the 24th of January. That's at Theatr Clwyd, and the RHYL Pavilion Theatr on the 26th of January. Theatr Clwyd, I'm told, is very low availability on tickets, but you can try your luck. Box office number 01352 701 521. That's 01352 701 521.
Tremendous.
Or indeed, you can have a little day out in RHYL. How about that? That's 01745 33 0000. I'll say it again. 01745 33 0000. That's Max Boyce back on the road doing it proper.
Thanks, Andy. That was very interesting.
You're listening to the Andy Snowden Stage and Screen Radio Show, broadcasting around the world and in Crosa Medre.